start with the structure of atmosphere. So what is structure of atmosphere? So you know that atmosphere is nothing but mixture of gases surrounding the Earth's surface, right? So Earth's surface is covered by a mixture of gases, and we call this gases mixture of gases as atmosphere. And the pressure exerted by the atmosphere on a parcel of land or a part of land is called atmospheric pressure. You know this. So the mixture of gases which cover the Earth's surface is called as atmosphere. Now this atmosphere, from the ground surface to the higher altitudes, the density of the air, temperature is not same, it vary. Okay, మనం ఎర్త్ సర్ఫేస్ నుంచి పైకి వెళ్తున్న కొద్దీ అట్మాస్ఫియర్లోని టెంపరేచర్ కానీ అందులో ఉన్న డెన్సిటీ ఆఫ్ ఎయిర్ కానీ కంపోజిషన్ కానీ మారుతుంది. సో దట్స్ వై ఇన్స్టెడ్ ఆఫ్ స్టడీయింగ్ అట్మాస్ఫియర్ యాజ్ ఎ హోల్, వన్ సింగిల్ ఎంటిటీ, వీ హ్యావ్ డివైడెడ్ అట్మాస్ఫియర్ ఇంటూ సర్టెన్ లేయర్స్. వాట్ ఆర్ దట్ లేయర్స్? అర్థమవుతుందా? అట్మాస్ఫియర్ ఇస్ మిక్చర్ ఆఫ్ గ్యాసెస్. ఈ అట్మాస్ఫియర్ని సేమ్ త్రూఅవుట్ ఎర్త్ సర్ఫేస్ నుంచి హయ్యర్ ఆల్టిట్యూడ్స్ వరకు సేమ్ టెంపరేచర్ కానీ సేమ్ కంపోజిషన్ కానీ ఉండదు, చేంజ్ అవుతుంది. సో బేస్డ్ ఆన్ టెంపరేచర్ ఈ అట్మాస్ఫియర్ని మనం లేయర్స్గా డివైడ్ చేసినాం. వాట్ ఆర్ దట్ లేయర్స్? ట్రోపోస్ఫియర్, స్ట్రాటోస్ఫియర్, మెసోస్ఫియర్, థర్మోస్ఫియర్ అండ్ ఎగ్జోస్ఫియర్. Okay, so the atmosphere can be studied as layer based on what? Temperature. So temperature changes to the each layer here, and each layer has its own peculiar characteristics. Okay, and these characteristics are very much important for us in point of examination. Okay, so what is the first layer that comes from the Earth's surface? It is a troposphere. So from the Earth's surface to about 10 kilometers, what you find is troposphere. The first layer what you see in the atmosphere is troposphere. Okay, so the troposphere, the thickness of troposphere is maximum at equator and minimum at poles. What is the first layer that we are discussing? Troposphere. Troposphere is the first layer from the Earth's surface. First layer of atmosphere from the Earth's surface. So troposphere, the thickness of troposphere is maximum at equator. It is around 18 kilometers, and the thickness of at poles is 8. You know what is poles and equator, right? This is equator, this is poles. Okay, and you know that the temperatures are high at the equator, so air rises above normal conditions, right? So that's why, because of the convectional current, the troposphere is maximum at equator. Because of high intense heat at the equator, air rises above to higher altitude. So that's why the thickness of troposphere is maximum at equator and minimum at poles. Why it minimum at poles? Because the sun's insolation is less, temperatures are low, so air cannot go up to higher altitude. So that's why at poles the thickness of troposphere is less. Okay, thickness of troposphere ekkada ekku untadi? Equator. Ekkada takku untadi? Poles. So average ga manam enta తీసుకుంటాం? Distance of troposphere 10 kilometers. 10 kilometers. Okay, and all the weather related phenomena takes place in troposphere. Okay, like your cloud formation, rainfall, okay, cyclones formation, okay, precipitation, the presence of water vapor. Presence of water vapor is also maximum in troposphere. Beyond that you do not find much water vapor, and that too water vapor content is maximum at equator. Okay, so అందుకే troposphere ఏమంటారు? It's at like theater of weather conditions, like all the atmospheric what you call weather related phenomena takes place in troposphere. Okay, so that's why it is unstable layer, it keeps on changing. So that's why tropo means changing. So all weather related phenomena, rainfall, formation of clouds, snowfall, cyclones, all these weather related meteorological activities takes place in troposphere. Okay, right. So the next layer, so this is the second point, one thing. And one more thing, in troposphere, with increasing altitude, temperature decreases, the temperature decreases. How much it decreases? For every 1 kilometer, for every 1 kilometer increasing altitude, temperature decreases by 6 degrees Celsius. This is called as, what is it is called as? Normal lapse rate. Normal lapse rate. In troposphere, what happens? As you move from to the higher altitudes from the Earth's surface, temperature decreases. Why temperature decreases? Okay. The sun, the radiation coming from the sun is called insolation, and this radiation will actually heat the Earth surface first, and then Earth it gets heated up and Earth starts to radiate, and this radiation is called, what is called? Yeah, terrestrial radiation. So the sunlight, the sun radiation coming from the sun will first hit the Earth surface, and Earth starts to radiate, and this is called terrestrial radiation. And this terrestrial radiation will heat the upper layers. So that's the reason why in troposphere, with increasing in elevation, temperature drops. How can you say that? You can say that at a range, for every 165 meters, the temperature drops by 1 degree Celsius, or you can say that for every 1 kilometer, temperature drops by 6.5 degrees Celsius. This happens in troposphere. Okay. So what happens in troposphere? So the first layer of atmosphere, so it is maximum at, where troposphere is maximum at the equator and minimum at poles. Okay. And all the weather phenomena like rainfall, fog, hailstorm, etc. are confined to this layer. All the cyclone, storms, precipitation takes place in this layer. Okay. And why tropo means change, because all the weather changes, layers happens in this layer. Okay. And yeah, that in this layer temperature decreases with height, increasing altitude. So this is called normal lapse rate. So temperature decreases at the rate of 1 degree Celsius for 160 meters, or you can say that 6.5 degree drop in for every 1 kilometer. This is the fall in temperature is called lapse rate, normal lapse rate. Okay. Why? What is the reason? This is the reason that why temperature increases with increasing altitude, because that the troposphere gases absorb very little of incoming solar radiation. So instead the ground absorbs the heat, and this radiation will heat the atmosphere. Reason good. Okay. Right. So it maximum at equator and minimum at poles, 8, 10, 18 kilometer difference. And what you can see, strong convective currents. Air rises above and comes down. And it is dense at equator, you know this. And the layer between troposphere and stratosphere is tropopause. Then the next layer, which is stratosphere. Okay. The next layer is stratosphere. It extends up to 50 kilometer. Stratosphere extends up to 50 kilometer, right? And 10 to 50 kilometers. And what happens in stratosphere? What happens to temperature in stratosphere? Yeah, what happens? Yeah. So in troposphere, temperature starts to increase because of the presence of ozone layer. So around 20 to 30 kilometers, you have ozone layer, which is dominated by O3 molecules. Okay. So this ozone protects us from the UV radiation coming from sun. So that's the reason why in stratosphere, since this ozone layer absorbs the heat, temperature increases in stratosphere. Okay. And since all the weather related phenomena takes place in troposphere, you can, at the lower stratosphere, there are no clouds. Okay. So there is no clouds, no weather disturbances, and the winds move horizontally, and that's why lower stratosphere is ideal for flying aircrafts. Is ideal for flying aircrafts. Right. So the second layer extends up to 50 km. This layer contains very little water vapor. Maximum water vapor can be seen in troposphere. Okay, and this layer provides some advantages for flight because it is above the stormy weather. అన్ని stormy weather activities అన్ని ఎక్కడ జరుగుతాయి? ట్రోపోస్ఫియర్లో. సో పైన క్లౌడ్స్ ఉండవు కాబట్టి హారిజాంటల్ మూవ్మెంట్ ఆఫ్ ఎయిర్ ఉంటుంది కాబట్టి ఇట్ ఇస్ మోర్ సూటబుల్ ఫర్ flying aircraft. So which layer is suitable for aircraft, flying aircraft? Stratosphere. Right. So temperature increases due to absorption. So troposphere lo manaki em untadi? Ozone layer. So ozone layer will absorb the UV radiation. Because of that, the temperature increases in stratosphere. Okay. You can see the ozone layer, which is around 15 to 30 kilometers, this region, and the ozone layer absorbs UV rays. Okay. So because of this region, and we have also discussed that if the ozone layer is in the stratosphere, it is good. If ozone is there in the stratosphere, it is good. It protects us from UV radiation. But because of the pollution, in winters, the fog plus smoke. In winters, you see the formation of fog, and this fog plus smoke form smog. Okay, so with the sunlight, with this reaction, ozone is formed at the ground level. So ground level ozone is harmful. The ground level ozone is harmful because it absorbs heat at the earth's surface. Okay, so that's what it is. So the ozone layer absorbs the ultraviolet rays from the sun and safeguards us from UV radiation. Okay, so 90% of ozone molecules are present in stratosphere and 10% in the troposphere, and the ozone which is present in troposphere is bad ozone, remember. Okay, now you can see here the temperature, wow, it is changing. So what is happening at the troposphere? The temperature is decreasing. You can notice here. In troposphere the temperature is decreasing. Why? Because increase of elevation. In increase in troposphere, in temperature decreases because the Earth's surface first heats up, and then it will heat the upper layers. Then, if you see at the border of troposphere and stratosphere, the troposphere temperatures are constant, and once again in stratosphere temperatures are increasing. So in troposphere the temperature almost goes up to -80, -60, and in stratosphere once again the temperatures come near to 0. Increase, right? 0, -80 to 0 is increasing. Why it increases? Because of presence of ozone layer. Okay. The next layer of around 50 to 80 kilometers. What is the next layer we have? Mesosphere, the third layer from the Earth's surface. So this mesosphere, once again if you look at here, the temperature is decreasing. The temperature decreases here. Why the temperature decreases here? Because there is no ozone now. The stratosphere has increasing temperature because there is ozone. In mesosphere there is no ozone, no trapping of heat. So that's why mesosphere is the coldest layer. The temperatures here records around -100. Mesosphere. Okay, mesosphere. So mesosphere, two things you have to remember. It is the coldest layer. Temperature drops here, and one more thing that you have to remember here is that meteor starts burning here. Meteor starts burning here. Okay, so troposphere, stratosphere and mesosphere. So mesosphere, what happens is the meteor starts burning. So what are meteorites? Meteorites are the remnant parts of asteroids. So where do you find asteroids? Between Mars and Jupiter. So when these asteroids break, and then some paths move in interplanetary space, and when these meteoroids, they are called meteoroids, and when they enter into the atmosphere, they start burning. Okay, and they burn in, when they enter into atmosphere, they burn. Where they burn? In mesosphere. Now why not in exosphere and thermosphere? Because yeah, so the density of the air as you move to the higher altitude decreases, because earth has only up to certain level it can hold the gases with its gravitational force, it can hold up to certain extent, and beyond that extent the thickness of air decreases. Air is loosely packed here. So as a result, though the thermosphere is the hot layer, the meteors will not burn in thermosphere because the air molecules are not tight, they are loose, and when they enter into the mesosphere, they are coming close to the earth, so the density of the air is high, and because of the friction between the meteors and air, they start burning. So meteors burn in mesosphere. How to remember? M. Okay, and which layer is ideal for flying aircraft? Stratosphere. In which layer you have ozone layer? Stratosphere. Why stratosphere temperature increases with altitude? Because of is ozone layer. Why? Because of observation of UV radiation. Okay, where all the weather related phenomena takes place? In troposphere, because of the presence of water vapor, and water vapor, you know, formation of clouds, cyclones and all. So it is like active region, changing layer. Okay, then so it extends up to 10 to 8 kilometers, maximum at equator, minimum at poles, troposphere. Then above up to 50 kilometers we have stratosphere, and beyond stratosphere 50 to 80 kilometers we have mesosphere, where temperature drops to minus 100 degrees Celsius, very coldest layer. Then top of mesosphere you have thermosphere, okay, around 80 to 400 kilometers, and this is a layer once again the temperature starts to increase and it will never decrease. Okay, so this temperature this layer, in this layer temperatures are high, but we cannot feel it because air molecules are loosely packed, density is less. Okay, and in this layer, in the lower thermosphere, there is a layer called strong layer called ionosphere. What is it? Ionosphere. It is electrically charged layer called ions, so that's why ionosphere. And this thermosphere, in the ionosphere is help us in radio waves transmission. Okay, when we form for the radio waves, it will goes up to troposphere and they get reflected back. So they help in radio wave transmission. Which layer? Thermosphere. Why? Because of the presence of ionosphere. Okay, and within this thermosphere we find a phenomena called aurora lights. Northern lights are aurora lights. Just a second. Here you find this phenomena called auroras. Okay, in northern hemisphere they are called aurora borealis. In southern hemisphere they are called as aurora australis. They are called northern lights, green lights. Okay, and why this phenomena occur in thermosphere? Why this phenomena occur in thermosphere? What is the reason for this? What is the reason for this? You know that Earth is a magnet. Earth has magnetic force because of its core at the center, liquid core in center. Because of its rotation, Earth magnetic field is generated. It has iron, right? Earth has iron. Majority part southern hemisphere has iron. The interior of the Earth is dominated by iron. So because of that, it is magnet. It has magnetism. Right. So it has north pole and south pole, generally poles, and these poles are not permanent here, they keep on shifting. For every millions of thousands of years they change. Anyways, so the magnet means magnet will have its magnetic field of influence. It has magnetic field. Any magnet will have its magnetic field. Down. So when you have two magnets, when you bring close there, when you bring them close, they will repel or attract. దూరం ఉంటే కాదు, ఎందుకంటే దానికి ఒక magnetic field ఉంటుంది. Okay, so Earth also has magnetic field, and you know that. So from sun, sometimes the solar flares come. Solar flares. These are high intensity solar winds. Come from sun. Okay. Now when this intense flare when comes from the sun. So basically in generally this earth magnetic field protect us from the solar flares, okay. But sometimes what happens when they are intense, you know that the earth magnetic field is directed towards north pole and south pole. So this will break and they will enter into north and south pole zone. And now because of the solar flares interacting with the air molecules in this region, you see green lights. ఎందుకు అవుతుందంటే interaction between solar flares and the earth magnetic field. So this zone is weak, so molecules come here and they react, forming northern lights. We call them as aurora. Boreal is in northern hemisphere and austral is in southern hemisphere. అందుకే మనం northern lights చూడాలంటే ఎడుకోవాలి, Arctic polar region పోవాలి, okay. So this is about the layers of atmosphere. Okay. So how this happen, when solar storm comes towards the earth, some of the energy and small particles can travel down the magnetic lines and at the north and south poles to the upper earth atmosphere, and here the reaction takes place. So this is about the structure of atmosphere, right. And in the thermosphere we have international not India's, US, NASA's, they have international space station. We are building, we do not have a space station right now as a whole. This thermosphere, and you know that in this layer there is ionosphere, and ionosphere is, it is electrically charged, photoionized, and they help in, why they help in it, it reflects and modifies the radio waves. They help in the transmission of radio waves, the ionosphere, which is present in the thermosphere. And above thermosphere we have exosphere, which is beyond 400 kilometers, and we do not have enough knowledge about this, and this actually meets with the space. So this is dominated by hydrogen and helium, okay, clear. So this is about the structure of atmosphere. So which layer is where you can see the weather related phenomena? Troposphere. Where do you find ozone layer? Stratosphere. Why stratosphere increases in temperature with increasing altitude? Okay, it is called negative lapse rate. Positive lapse rate, normal lapse rate you can see in troposphere. Okay, where do meteors burn? Okay, which layer of atmosphere helps us in radio waves transmission? Which layer helps us in radio waves transmission? Thermosphere. Okay, the layer ionosphere. That. Okay, in which layer do you find auroras? In which latitudes you find aurora, northern lights? If you want to watch northern lights, where you have to move to? Which latitudes? Lower latitudes or higher latitudes? North pole number ఏంది? Latitude అక్కడ ఉండే number ఏంటి? 90, 80 అవునా? మరి higher latitudes. At poles you find this. Poles and Arctic region you find northern lights. Okay, so this is about the structure of atmosphere.